No relationship on Valentine's Day?
No problem.
I remember watching that movie, Mr. Wrong, with Ellen DeGeneres and Bill Pullman, and she starts that movie by saying, Valentine's Day, the worst day on a single girl's calendar.
But we actually don't believe that's true if it is looked at from a different perspective. Now, this is a kind of holiday that can just be ignored by single people, which I think it often is.
That's what I used to do.
But we have a better idea for you.
We think you can express and develop love in a different way.
Because as Love in Later Years, we encourage love of all kinds to be built and created intentionally so that as we age, love has been growing in our lives. Self-love, love for kids, love for neighbors, love for a romantic partner if we are so blessed.
Valentine's Day is supposed to be a celebration of love. In fact, I understand that Saint Valentine actually was put to death because he was performing marriages between Christians against Roman law.
He was willing to die to promote this idea of love, and luckily we don't have to die for it, but we are living for it, and we are producing a lot of content and material to promote that end, because there's a lot of hurting people out there that get stuck, even convince themselves maybe that they don't want to ever be in a relationship because it's hurt so much in the past. But love is not what hurts. It's the absence of love that actually hurt.
You have a great and endless supply of love within yourself, which you can use to seek out and attract others who are the same. The greatest Valentine's card we've ever gotten is in the book of John. Jesus Christ said, first and great commandment was to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then he said, the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And this tells us a couple of things. One is that the love of God is supreme, that God is there for us no matter what, and he will never let us down. That doesn't mean he won't allow us to be disappointed, but we can trust that everything he allows to happen works together for our good. But then this part about loving others as we love ourselves, could you say, I really hate myself, so I'm going to go ahead and treat everyone else bad? Well, no, of course that's not what it means. The idea is I get my self-esteem, my self-worth from my relationship with God, from knowing that he is my Father and that he has my back. And then I can love my neighbor for exactly the same reason, because Cathy is every bit as much a child of God as I am, and every bit as much loved by him as I am. And so that's an important thing to remember, is that if we don't have a partner, we can still love ourselves.
One of the best things that I did for my dating life was to recognize that all of the love I'll ever need is inside of me. And knowing that made it possible for me to then go out and seek a partner, not because I needed that to validate me as a human being who is lovable, but as an addition, a healthy addition to my life, that it was already being filled with the love that God has bestowed in me.
If you don't have a relationship, well, one really brave thing to do, one act of self-love might be to choose someone maybe you've been thinking about getting to know better and taking them a gift. Not 24 roses, but 1 rose or a box of chocolates or whatever you think that person would like with a Valentine card. Simple way to show some interest, or what Cathy calls dropping the handkerchief.
Dropping the handkerchief. I didn't come up with it, but it's this old-fashioned notion that women can show interest, allowing a man to be aware that they have an in.
And so that's one way you can celebrate Valentine's Day. You can plan something creative to show your interest in someone. Now, we're not saying you have to do that. And, supposing it doesn't work, it doesn't take very long anyway to deliver a card and a rose or a card and a box of chocolates. It's pretty quick. What are you going to do Valentine's night? Well, you can do what I used to do and just ignore it, go home and watch TV and go to bed or whatever. You could also get together with a bunch of girlfriends or guy friends and go out to dinner. When is that not fun? It's always fun.
And that's another way of being self-loving, is doing fun things.
Right. Valentine's Day, I think, has evolved into a holiday that we want it to be a fun holiday. We want it to be about love. We want it to be a little bit ridiculous when we think about getting shot with an arrow by Cupid, you know.
Just like the risk of finding romantic love, there are also some risks to self-love that we want you to be able to get past. And one of those risks is willingness to see things differently. Willingness to let go of thoughts that maybe you've been thinking for 20 years that aren't serving you.
Valentine's Day could be an opportunity to almost ritually release a lot of the anger, the resentment, anything that is getting in the way of you loving freely and fully. And that begins with loving God, loving yourself, and then having a Christian love for many others.
Sometimes we get used to the thoughts that we have. They feel comfortable even if they're not serving us. And it's helpful if we're willing to let go of old beliefs. Like Jeff said, make Valentine's a yearly ritual of letting go of whatever isn't love in your life so you can have more of it in your life. Self-love, especially around the holiday of Valentine's, both transcends and supports romantic love. Even in our own marriage, we're more loving with each other when we are loving ourselves enough to take good care of our own needs so that we can show up as our best self for each other.
Remember, any time is a great time for more love in your life.
Especially at Valentine's.